welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to discuss an important topic, kids' online safety. If you're a parent, that's probably something that's crossed your mind more than once, and for some of you out there, it might even be keeping you up at night. Most parents know the challenge of getting their kids and teenagers to put down their devices and disconnect, and they know how hard it is to keep up with what kids are actually doing online. Kids' online safety is paramount for any parent, so we want to share steps that we can take to keep kids safe. Our resident cybersecurity experts, Rahul and Timur, are here to share their advice. So, Timur, how can parents help their kids learn about being safer online?
Thanks, Eddie. First up, it's important to educate your kids about the risk of being online and sharing the information with others. So while we don't want to scare kids too much at this age, but it's important to help them understand that the dangers that exist in the everyday world, they exist online too. When you're talking with your kids about things like stranger danger or bullying, encourage them to think about what that looks like online too. Kids can be lured into a false sense of security online, where the sites and the apps they use feel fun and welcoming, and people they interact with seem like they're real friends, even though they are strangers. Let your kids know it's really important not to share their personal information online, which means things like their age, their full name, where they live, what school they go to, and so on. Another habit to help them form is to block people they don't know. If they get friend requests or messages from strangers, let them know it's absolutely okay and not rude or mean to block and delete them.
All right, so what can parents do if something concerning has happened to their kids online?
Well, it's really important to let your kids know about they can always come to you about feeling unsafe or unsure online. Let them know the incidents of cyberbullying or being approached or deceived by someone they don't know isn't their fault. Then, depending on what's happened, work with them to help solve those issues.
I think a lot of parents, they tend to worry that their kids aren't open with them about what they do online. So how can they encourage their kids to share more?
Well, I think it's all about building trust with the kids. As parents, we have to work on building an open and trusting relationship with them. And only when kids feel safe and valued if they are able to freely come forward about something that really makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, Timur, the older that I get, the less I'm able to keep up with all the apps and sites that kids seem to love. I have absolutely well and truly missed the boat on things like Minecraft, Fortnite, Snapchat, TikTok. The list just seems to go on. I wouldn't be that confident knowing the risks on these platforms and what it takes to stay safe on them. So, what's your advice for parents on that?
It can definitely help with those conversations if you can take at least a bit of time to get familiar with the program or the app. What you want to talk to your kids about? I'm not saying you have to spend like hours playing games or TikToking, but at least sign up for it yourself and learn a bit about how it works. Even better, ask your kids to show you and teach you, and then you'll be able to get some perspective on how they use it and can have informed discussions about staying safe online.
Great, thanks, Timur. Rahul, obviously parents aren't alone in this. Schools play a big part in cyber safety education for our kids too. So what should parents be looking for from their schools on this?
Thanks, Ali, and thanks, Timur. I think it's been a great discussion going on. So I've been listening to that. So to answer your question, I would say I would encourage parents to get involved and find out things like whether their child's school has an internet policy and how online safety is maintained at school. They can ask about what curriculum and policies the school has in relation to cyber safety and cyberbullying. My understanding is that a lot of schools are putting those policies in place these days because of there are a lot of discussions and talks in the media about cyber safety and cyberbullying. So don't be shy. Go and ask them, and they probably have in place. Also, partnership between schools and families are really important. So they can also ask to get involved in building up those policies if you have some background in that. And some schools has parent committees who are involved in cyberbullying education initiatives and developing cyberbullying policies. So find out if that's something your child's school does and how you could participate. You need to get involved in these things these days.
Well, I'm going to throw a trickier one at you now, Rahul. There's some stats I've seen out there that have shown that on average, kids are exposed to adult content online by the time they're only about 9 or 10. That's really confronting. So what can we do about it?
I think you love asking tricky questions, and it is a very tricky question. So the age is, I believe, the age is earlier than that these days because it's so easy to get access to those things, right? And it's very hard to put filters on and making sure the things actually works, or all the filters. But I would say, I think the right approach is to, in all seriousness, to tackle a head on and with honesty. So point out to your children that some websites on the internet are for adults only, as we do for the Hollywood movies, right? There's the 18 plus, so we don't let our kids watch. So same applies to online websites as well. So then talk with them about how they might react if they stumble across the kind of the content or shown it by a friend, which we can't stop, right? There's things out of our controls as a parent, so we need to let them know and advise them in advance. So talk about how it might make them feel and what they think the right thing is to do. So create that the trust relationship which Tamoor has spoken about before, and it is very, very important to have that trust relation to work through with your kids.
So just following on from that, I know there's lots of parents out there who've been encouraged to monitor their kids' online activity, and there's also a bunch of different ways that they might go about that. So what are your thoughts on how to do this the right way?
That's another, I would say, a tricky one, but I would say it's more around privacy. We all are concerned about privacy, even and our kids too. Even they put everything on social media, even to the point what they had for breakfast, right? But parents absolutely need to have an oversight of what the kids doing online. I completely agree, but there is a fine line of breaching the privacy for the kids and actually trying to know, and lots of parents really don't understand that, or they don't have the understanding of it. So I would, and as Tamoor talked about earlier as well, it's also really important that kids trust you and feel respected when you have the discussions around privacy or putting an app on their device, right? Teenagers in particular value their privacy and sense of self, and having their parents, sticky baking at their chats or the apps they are using can be a big source of distress. So you might lose that trust you have already built. So from a privacy point, it's a very fine line, and I think my advice would be parents to do their research on this, reach out to the experts or the people who actually work in the privacy side. You can reach out to cybersecurity advice, obviously, or if you have any questions around that, and choose the app which does not take the information away from kids and to give it to third parties. That's another aspect to look at. But don't intervene into the apps. Have the apps which intervene too much into the world of everything what the kids doing. But you want apps which only monitor certain things. But at the end of the day, you need to look at the privacy side of that as well.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. So to finish up, have you got any other hot tips you think parents should know?
Well, look, Tamoor has already mentioned a few of them, and good pointers he made before. But I would say my last piece of advice, be that steps you take to uplift your own online security, are just as important for your kids and family. So as a parent, you would like to protect your kids in the physical world, and the same applies these days to the online world as well. So you need to make sure you do certain things or take certain steps to protect their privacy or protect them from the cyberbullying and things we talked about before. So some of the last points I can mention is that use two-factor authentication on any application you use. Even the free applications provide you options to do two-factor. So please use that if it's allowed. And if it's not allowed, ask the app developers or the organization to put two-factor authentication. Right? If you purchase, you're paying for it. You can ask for that. Services, they might be in the pipeline. So work with your kids to use strong passwords and ask them to change it often. So have those conversations with them. Changing the passwords and not using the same passwords for all the various applications prevents you from, all those the cyber attacks you can be victim of. Do your research in buying an antivirus solution. There are many out there. All the companies, there's many options out there. Try to buy something which is I would say family, gives you family options. You can put it on your kids, on your wife or your partner, and and multiple devices, and you can control from one console. That will help you to streamline certain things in that respect. So turn off location services. So do not have your location services on your devices, on your applications. There are, when you install an app on your phone, there's always some auto settings involved, and terms and conditions are there. If that says you have the locations will be enabled, make your informed choice, like Timur mentioned. So you want to turn it on or not. You don't want people to know all the time where you are, right? So my advice would be to turn it off. The last advice I would say: don't let your app share your data or any applications you have in your phone or your device. Read the terms and conditions before your kids even install it. So with that way, you are not sending the information to third parties or the developers or the organization without your consent, right? So the rules and regulations for privacy are very strict in Europe from a GDPR point of view. There are some strictness around in US as well. There are some, privacy rules are already in place from Australia. It's not as strict, but privacy is yours. So you should be looking at what you would like to share to the rest of the world, not actually dictate by some other vendor or some other organizations. So that's some points, Ellie. I would say I think we can keep going, but there are many things to do. But I think these are if our listeners can go through, look at some of the points we mentioned, I mentioned, Timur mentioned, and go to our site and look at it. That will be helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, I have no doubt you guys could talk about this all day, but we'll wrap it up for there. We'll wrap it up for now. So thanks, Rahul. Thank you, Timur. And of course, thanks to viewers for watching the video. We really hope it was useful. And if you have got any questions or comments for our experts, just add them below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Stay cyber safe and don't get hacked.